Welcome back to a new episode of Out of the Bubble podcast. My name is Rachel Peru, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favourite subjects, lingerie. Today I'm joined by Emma Parker, who is the founder of Playful Promises. And last year I had the absolute privilege of joining their Ageless Fashion campaign. I love the fact that she's really including the older women into the lingerie industry conversation, which is so important. We have so much to talk about today, so I can't wait to get stuck in talking to Emma. Grab a coffee and enjoy.
So good morning, Emma. Thank you so much for joining Out of the Bubble. I'm so excited to finally get to talk to you this morning. How are you?
I'm very good, Rachel. It's really nice to be here. I've got this weird feeling that we've already met before. Obviously, you did the pictures for us.
Yes.
And so you feel really familiar because I've obviously looked at those pictures a lot of times.
Yes, yeah, and I've got I'm fully clothed today, not just in my lingerie, although I was tempted to show up in one of your nice sets. So I've already done your introduction, but how do you introduce yourself to people?
How do I introduce? I'm just Emma. Just little old Emma. But I suppose I'm being formal, like in a work setting. I say I'm Emma, the founder of Playful Promises, a sort of inclusive lingerie brand I started about 17 years ago now.
And we have got so much to cover because I know it's a subject that both of us are really passionate about. And, you know, last year for me, the highlight of my year was doing the Ageless Fashion campaign. So I can't wait to get onto that conversation. But let's start at the beginning because, you know, your background originally was in law. So how did you make that move from that to lingerie? What created the inspiration for that?
Well, I did a law degree because it was a sensible thing to do.
Yeah.
And I was the first person in my family ever to go to university, and so I wanted to do something that seemed very steady. And I was always quite academic at school. But then the reality was, once I'd actually done this law degree, it's a great degree to do, and it was really interesting. I was like, being a lawyer would be a really great job for someone else, not me.
Yeah.
I'm just quite a creative person, and I've just really always loved underwear since I was 18, and I thought sort of first become aware of my sexuality. I just really loved dressing up. And I saw there was a gap in the market for, at the time, there was like Asian Provocateur, which was very expensive and very design-led and really cool.
Yeah.
And then there were brands like Ann Summers, which were kind of sexy and much more affordable, but not so interesting design-wise.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to do something that was in a more affordable price bracket, but that was also more led by design, because I kind of felt like it was missing in the market.
Yeah.
And then I also felt that we should be more inclusive, and that you know, when I was growing up, models kind of all looked quite the same. They're all pretty young and very slim, which is, you know, it's a body type which is just as valid as all the other body types.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I just felt as a brand, you know, especially as you know, lingerie is such a intimate and such an expressive thing, I just wanted to do something that was more inclusive of, and felt more people felt like they could be part of our sort of our community. And I'm also a full of bust bra wearer myself.
Yeah.
And so it was quite annoying for me how limited some of my choices were with sort of sexier underwear, because there's some really good brands that do full of bust for, you know, good everyday bras.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like you got your Freyas and your Bravissimos, but they're not very sexy. But they're you know, they're good. They're good. Like you're going to work and you want a nice, sensible bra. They're good. But in terms of like dressing up and being a bit, you know, sexy, frilly, strappy, sort of bondagey, you know, all that sort of more exciting stuff.
Yeah.
There really isn't many. Well, it's very hard to find those types of bras.
Yeah.
In the bigger cup sizes.
Absolutely, I hear you. I mean, I'm a 34G, and you know that's something that I really struggled with. And actually, that I didn't start wearing really nice lingerie until I was in my 40s, because I didn't really have the body confidence in my 20s and 30s. And it's interesting that kind of historically, the lingerie industry hasn't really catered for the older woman in that way, whereas you have really kind of embraced that and encouraged it. How important is it to you to represent older women? Is it something that's kind of developed as you've got older?
Oh, it's definitely developed as I've got older. It's always been important. Like, you know, I have a, you know, a mum and aunties and things, and you know how women talk, and you know, I'm pretty sure my mum had sex. I'm here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was quite, I was sort of I always had the idea that sexuality wasn't something that stopped when you got to like 28 magically. There was something that sort of would be with you throughout your life, even though you obviously you might change and your body confidence might change and your hormones will change throughout your life. It's still part of your identity, even when you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, maybe even older. I don't know.
Let's hope so.
So it's important. And then it's quite interesting for me because when I started this brand, I was only 28, and now I'm 45. And so it's sort of interesting for me. One, I obviously love the products that I make and I wear them all the time, and I still feel like they're the right product for me. And then I'm just like, well, I never see people even my age, and I'm 45, wearing in adverts. And so it is important to me, and it's partly because I'm obviously getting older. I'm more open to through my personal experience, but I'd say I was always quite open to it just because I've got a very open relationship with like the kind of the generation above me in my family.
And I think that's the thing. It's so important for us to be represented so that we can show the younger generation below us that there's nothing to be scared of, and that we can still rock and wear sexy lingerie and feel good in our bodies, and also to kind of look up to the generation above us and recognize that they're probably still doing that and they still need that too, but they just don't get seen. Why do you think it's so difficult for women in society still, once they get to an older age, to feel comfortable expressing it publicly and getting recognized as showing our sensuality?
It's a difficult one. I'm not 100% sure. I think there's a few different reasons. Because I was obviously thinking about this yesterday. Now I was going to speak to you. I think there's a little bit of old-fashioned misogyny in there. Like you have to watch like films, and it's like you have all these men cast who are like between 40 and 60, and they're all married to on-screen characters who are like 28, and you're like, really? So I think it's just sort of perhaps a representation issue. And then secondly, I was thinking about fashion, and one of the things that drives fashion is sort of always newness, and maybe sort of newness is kind of inherently associated with youngness by accident. So I think that could be one factor on it, and that we need to think about how innovation can be driven by people at any time in their life, and it doesn't have to be youthful. And then thirdly, I think there's something actually, this is a bit morbid, sorry, but I feel like as a society, we are very bad at dealing with our mortality. And I feel like that there's perhaps something in there that is stopping us from embracing older people and older women in society. Yesterday, actually, I'm thinking my notebook out. I actually got a little interesting statistic, and apparently, by 2030, the anti-aging industry is going to be worth 421 billion.
Wow.
And you're just like, I think that does say something about how we as a society we need to maybe think about life cycles and how aging is actually a natural part of that. And they were actually living to be much older generally on average. So I think there's lots of different things to unpick. But another really interesting statistic I came across yesterday was apparently there's an organization called the International Longevity Centre. And they reckon, you know them. I hadn't come across them before, and they had some interesting stuff. And they were saying that they reckon that if the fashion industry doesn't get on board with the fact that people over 28 want to buy fashionable things, they're standing to lose about 11 billion of revenue over that period.
Which is just ridiculous, isn't it? It's just ridiculous that the marketing is still not caught up with the actual figures.
No, I thought it was just such a, it's just such a big number. It's just like, why on earth wouldn't you be wanting to interact with these customers and and for them to be part of your community?
Yeah. So tell us about the kind of inspiration behind the Ageless Fashion campaign then, because you started that back in 2017, didn't you?
Yeah. We do it every year. We just did it because you just never see older women wearing underwear in campaigns, basically. And and I was actually on Facebook, and I saw this really cool pictures of a woman who was like, I'm not sure how old she was, but I'd say she was somewhere between 70 and 80. And she was a bodybuilder, and she was riding a bicycle. It's quite a famous person took the photo. I can't remember the name of it. But when I saw this photo, I sort of reposted it onto my personal social media, just to like, what a cool woman. And so many people responded to it. And it sort of got me thinking that, well, this is imagery that people want to see. And it's quite interesting how many younger people responded to it, and how many younger people also responded to the Ageless campaign when we put it on our social media, because they want to, it makes them, I think, feel good that they can, that there isn't a time when their sexual expression has to stop. They seeing, it's like seeing other role models. It's like, oh well, I'm going to still be able to be, interested in fashion and sexual expression when I'm older.
Absolutely. And I do think it's quite often you see, and I've been actually really lucky, but I do know other women that have done lingerie posts on social media, and then other women have jumped in and judged them for it and said, you're too old, we don't want to see that kind of thing. And I do think that's that fear of the aging, and it's their own insecurities that's coming out, projecting, which is really sad. And it's going to take, I don't know what it's going to take to shift that, but hopefully campaigns like yours will start that. What kind of feedback did you get from that over the years then? Have you seen an increase in sales, for instance, through targeting an older generation?
Definitely. So interestingly, if we break down the demographics on our e-com, for us, our biggest demographic is 24 to 35. Does that sound right? No, it must be 25 to 34. Then the next biggest demographic is the 35 to 44. Then the next demographic is the 10 years above that. And then our smallest demographic is actually the 18 to 24 year olds.
Right. Yeah, that's really interesting.
So the models you see in underwear,
I
mean, some of it is probably our price point. Our bras are not, they're not boohoo misguided prices. They're well-made bras that sell, between like 25 and sort of £50. So some of that will be related to price point and quality of product. And so I think it's really interesting that the young people you normally see wearing underwear in campaigns actually aren't our best customers.
Yes. Yeah. So what will it be?
Best customers, not the right word, but they're not the most important customer cohort.
Yes. And do you think there will be a time when we're not just seen in campaigns, but we're actually filtered through to e-com, so we're actually on people's websites and we're as the normal, and that's just a given, and it's not a kind of...
It's actually something we're discussing at the moment internally. I don't know if you noticed, but now we just had a new website in October, maybe. With the pandemic, time's all over the place. It seems like a long time ago, but it was only October. And so we started putting on different size models, and then one of the things, so we've got a lot of content. Our pages are now really content rich. We've got like core models, full bust models, curve models, lots of ethnic diversity. And then the next thing we were thinking is we should also show more of an age range. So we will be, and I think it will happen. There's another lingerie brand called Lonely. They went a bit mental during the pandemic with some funny old posts, but they did some really good campaigns using older models. Really nice imagery. So I think it will come. I think in the way that kind of body shape diversity has sort of filtered through to the mainstream in the last 10 years. I think in another 10 years, I think more age diversity will be out there. That's also, did you see the pictures Helena Christensen did for Coco de Mer?
I mean, she looks amazing.
I mean she doesn't look like obviously your average sort of older woman, but my God, she looks amazing.
She really
and
looks amazing.
But she is an older woman still, even though
Yes.
she was obviously a supermodel.
Yeah.
But still, it's still nice to see that she's still rocking it.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, no, I love them.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to talk to you about as well is your size range, because not many brands offer the amount of diversity that your brand range. I mean, what are you've got a huge amount, haven't you, of different sizes?
So we do about 90 bra sizes.
Wow.
It's because, again, it was just to try and be sort of more inclusive so that more women could have options. It's really important to us as a brand that these sort of sexier options are out there for people who go above a D cup, basically.
Yeah.
And
how difficult is that though in the market, in terms of, because obviously we talk about asking brands to be diverse and to be inclusive, but that comes at a cost for a brand as well, doesn't it? How difficult is that? Does that have a big impact?
It's really difficult, in all honesty. But I think it's worth doing.
Yeah.
It's difficult because you can't just make one production run, because obviously, well, not obviously, sorry, I say this obviously because I make bras all day long. Smaller cups will use like thinner elastics, not so strong wires. The mesh will have less elastane in it, and then you get size breaks. So on a 90 bras, we'll have 3 size breaks, which means there's 3 production lines with 3 different lots of different size materials and quality components. They all have to be fit individually and graded individually. And then you need to check the size of some of the cross grains to check that they fit as well. So it's a big operation.
Yeah.
And being frank, it's more expensive to make the bigger sizes than it is the smaller sizes, because those components, one, they take more material, but also the components tend to cost more money because they're stronger. Like the elastane costs more. Basically, the rubber that makes the elastane costs more money, I guess, and the harder steel costs more money. And then we average the price out so that everything's the same.
Yeah.
But I think that's why maybe some brands are like maybe sort of find it hard to make that step because of the costs and the time that it takes to develop. But I think it's worth doing.
I think it is, and I think you're paving the way, and I think, but it's important that the consumer gets to know that, and I think that to understand what actually it takes to get to where you're at, because it's not an easy task, and I completely appreciate that. But I'm so glad that you do. Thank you. It's interesting.
I love doing it. Well, it's how we came to be, isn't it? Because we could see that other people weren't doing it, and it's like, wow, fuck it, we'll do it.
Yeah, that's definitely the way forward. It's interesting. Earlier in the conversation, you said that you really enjoyed wearing nice lingerie when you were younger, and especially sensuality. So have you always been really quite body confident and free to express yourself and not worry about what the people thought?
Yeah, I don't know why. For some reason, I think that's my superpower. Is not really caring what other people think. Like, I've never been in any situation like the most beautiful girl or the thinnest girl or the best body, but I've always just been me, and that's okay. And I mean, when I was younger, I did obviously worry about being slim, which is a nicer thing actually about maturing. You kind of feel a lot more grateful for your body, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
And appreciative of it, and what a marvelous thing it actually is, and it's still working. But I was pretty confident when I was younger in going after what I wanted and expressing myself, and I just really I was just very in touch with my sexuality, I think, from when I was like 18 or maybe even 17, 18, and I was brought up to think but my parents were, I guess, from the 60s, a little bit hippie, and they were like, that's very natural, and there's nothing to be ashamed of, and I was very much brought up that nudity itself isn't inherently sexual. We weren't there was no sort of, oh my god, nudity in my house. It was like, well, it was no big deal. And so it's quite nice. I find it quite odd when people inherently associate nudity with sexuality.
Yeah, I was just going to say exactly the same thing. And the fact that, it's that people tend to think that when you post something perhaps on social media in lingerie, that we're actually doing it for a man to get their attention, and it's not about that at all.
No, it's sort of
I think we've got a long way to go before that shift happens. I post my lingerie because I spent so long not feeling great in my body, and now I do. I love the fact that I do, and it's freeing, and I feel really liberated, and I love wearing nice lingerie. But also I want to show all the women my age that, whatever shape size you are, you can feel it can give you such a big boost, can't it?
It can. It's nothing. I've just done a blog, actually, which is probably coming out later in the week, about how to accessorize lingerie as well, to try and encourage people. Sometimes when you see pictures on social media and everything looks so fabulous, and it's just like, well, little things like, stockings and a suspender is such a simple thing. Most sets have them available. And it's a really easy way to really elevate a look. Or like a pair of statement earrings. Zara make costume jewelry quite cheaply, and you put on a pair of flashy earrings with a nice bra, and it can really just. So I wrote a blog about how to sort of accessorize things, and hopefully to give women the sort of confidence to experiment a little bit.
Brilliant. Well, once that's out, I'll add the link to the show notes as well, so people can read that. That'd be brilliant.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be really good. When it comes to, so let's say it's a woman in midlife that has, because I speak to a lot of women that have lost their confidence as there's age, because they're going through the menopause, they're feeling a bit lost, they're not quite embracing the changes their body brings. I'm going through that right now, but luckily I've got the confidence behind me now to know that I've just got to accept that, that I've maybe changed shape slightly and I've got slightly bigger, and it's just working with that. But how do you kind of get a woman to go through her lingerie and check that it really fits? Because that's half the problem, isn't it? If you're wearing the wrong size bra, it can alter the way you look completely, can't it?
I think for some reason, it's one of the things that actually, it's probably my pet peeve about the lingerie industry. They make bra fitting out to be such a mystery, and they make a big deal about how all women are wearing the wrong size bra, and I just don't think women are that daft, to be honest with you. I think most women know if something fits or doesn't fit. They might need a little bit of help with the sizing, but I don't think there are millions of women walking around wearing the wrong size bra. I think it's just a marketing ploy when people say that. But it's not that hard to check if your bra fits or to work out your bra size. So if you take a bra that you like, that you think sort of fits you, note the size, put the bra on, check the underband. So you don't need to be any expert to know that, does your underband feel comfortable? Is it too loose? Is it too tight? If it's too tight, you'll feel it digging into you. If it's too loose at the back, if you look in the mirror, you'll see it's riding up. So therefore, at that point, you go, okay, the band's either just right, so whatever size this bra is, that's my band size. Or it's a bit loose, or I'll go down a band size. Or it's a bit tight, I'll go up a band size. So there you've got your band size. Then the next thing you want to do is look at the cups. So here you are in your bra. First of all, you're going to check your wires. Are the wires at the front touching your chest? Are the wires touching at the, if you can see it, put down on here at the side of your boob, are they digging into your hair? So that's your wire. The wire should touch your chest. If the wire's not touching your chest, it means it's not a big enough wire, so you go up a cup size. If again, or if it's digging in the your underarm, go up a cup size. If the wires feel just great and your neckline's fine, then you've got your right cup size. But if the wires feel like they're too far back at the armpit, or the neckline feels a bit loose, then you go down a cup size.
Right.
That's really all there is to it. It's not some special rocket science. It's like, does your band fit? Does your cup fit? And if it's too small, too big, go up or down one. The only tricky bit is sister sizing. So say you're wearing your 34E bra and your band is too small. So you decide to go up a cup, but your cup is perfect. When you go up a band size, you need to go down a cup size to have the same size cup. So your 34E will become a 36 double D.
Yeah.
Because if you make your 34E become a 36E, you're actually going up a band size and a cup size.
Yeah.
And then I mean, you can obviously apply that in any direction. So, you know, it's not, you know, I think there's a lot of time spent making it into a really complex thing when it's not.
Yeah,
and I think most women have got enough common sense to know something's too big or too small for them.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely, and I think January is a really good month to go through your lingerie drawer and have a massive clear out and just get rid of the things that don't make you feel good and wear the lingerie that does make you feel good. Have you got a favourite lingerie set?
I have. No, I was just going to say, just going back to that, don't save your best lingerie for best. Just wear it.
Absolutely, yeah, yes, yeah.
It's I think one of the little rules I have myself, I have it with all clothes. If you're worried about something getting ruined, you shouldn't have it. You should only have things that you use and enjoy. So if you buy a fancy dress, just wear the bloody thing.
Yeah.
If you've got a fancy bra, enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
there's something really
rule.
nice. Yeah, there's something really nice about, you know, having nice underwear on, you know, just on a daily basis.
And also, I think it's that idea of it's the closest thing that you put to your skin every single day. So it's about showing your body some love, really, and giving it what, you know, to make it feel good. Mm-hmm. So what's your kind of favorite lingerie set? So going back, so what's your favorite lingerie set?
I've got such a difficult question.
I know.
I mean, that means to sound dramatic. I've got hundreds of bras.
Yeah.
Because I obviously every season I take all the bras that we design.
Yeah.
And have one.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that for 17 years. And I'm also a certified laundry addict, so I also shop with like everybody who makes bras. Whenever my husband comes into the room where I keep all my drawers and things, I can't actually get my underwear drawers shut. And he's like, if the police were here, they'd definitely think we've been burgled. But I don't know, it's difficult. I think this season my favorite is Ren, because I really like it's Playful Promises Ren. I really like it's got it's black, it's got a sheer panel on the top cup and on the briefs, the high waist brief, and on the suspender belt, and the sheer is so sheer it almost it just looks like it's skin. And then it's got a really beautiful black heavy embroidered lace, and that is sitting over the sheer, so it almost looks like it's floating on the skin.
I'm gonna go check
I think that's
that
my
one
favorite one. It's my favorite this week anyway.
Yeah, love it. I'm going to go and check that one out. And I definitely recommend that if anybody hasn't heard of Playful Promises, then go over to playfulpromises.com, because they've just got such a great selection of lingerie and swimwear as well. Coming up for summer now. So my last 4 questions, Emma, I could talk to you for so much longer. It's a subject that, you know, you and I have got a lot in common about. But my last 4 questions that I ask all my guests, starting with, have you got a book that's inspired you?
That's a really difficult question. It's a bit like asking my favorite lingerie set, because I read prolifically. I don't have a book that's inspired. My favorite book was probably 1984.
Oh yes.
Like, and I'm quite like a how do you say, anti-establishment sort of person at heart. Like most of us wild designers are. So that was one of my favorite books.
I think we can probably see lots of references to today's life in that book still, I think.
I know.
It's interesting.
It wasn't supposed to be a manual, you know.
No, it's interesting. And what about a piece of music or a song? Do you listen to music a lot when you're working?
I don't listen to music when I'm working, because I'm one of those people that can only do one thing at one time.
Right.
So if I'm listening to music, I'm listening to music, and if I'm drawing or designing, I'm designing. But I do love music. At the moment, I've been really into Leonard Cohen. So I've been jogging, and I have my little jog to Leonard Cohen. I find his music very romantic. I'm not sure why I'm listening to romantic music while I'm jogging.
It's calming.
I'm Your Man. The Stranger song is just beautiful, sad. the waltz, the I think it's called the Last Waltz or something, and it's in a bar in Vienna. I won't sing to you because I can't sing. But I find his voice very evocative.
Yeah, brilliant. And what about somebody that's inspired you? Are you inspired by people or certain things that have happened maybe, or things you read?
I was very sad yesterday to hear that actually my all-time favorite designer died, Thierry Mugler.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, such a creative genius.
Oh, amazing. And just not just that he was a design, but he did all his own photos and direction, and he was just, was there anything that man couldn't do creatively? He was just so, and he was a ballet dancer, which I actually only found out yesterday.
Yeah.
When I was reading about him. So I don't know how I missed that before, but I did.
Yeah.
Incredible man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say that him and Jean-Paul Gaultier are probably my two biggest inspiration design-wise.
Yeah, no, I can see that, and I can see how you have, because you do push the boundaries with your lingerie. You do try and make them different and stand out and be something that perhaps you wouldn't necessarily think of, in the way you put your colours together and the designs. And I love that. How much fun do you have with the creative side of it?
Oh, a lot. It's obviously the favourite part of my job, because a lot of the time I spend, making sure that the things are shipping around the world, and that they're stuck in, they get stuck in containers, all sorts of. So when I actually get to do the design bit, it's obviously the my favorite bit. And I love thinking about, usually how I start is I do the color palette first for each brand, and then from the color palette I'll work out what shapes I think we need, and what shapes we haven't done, and how we could do something differently. Then I'll work out what embroideries to design, because we usually design our own embroideries too, or prints. Then I'll design the collection. It's kind of the order of events.
And how long does that process take, from sort of first designs to getting it out there?
About a year.
Wow, that's a long process then, isn't it?
Yeah, well, because you start getting your inspiration, doing your mood boards, doing the design process, making the first samples, and the first samples arrive, and then you have a complete drama because you're a designer. You go, oh my god, I hate it all. And then you fit it, and then you fix it. Then you have your photo shoot. Then you have to sew it, and then it has to be on a boat for like 8 weeks coming to wherever it's going. So yeah, it takes actually.
Well, it makes you appreciate them even more than knowing that.
Good. Yeah, no, it's we're currently working on spring summer 23.
Right. Oh wow, gosh, yeah.
And you're like, I haven't even seen any sun this year yet.
Yeah. That's exciting.
To give you an idea.
Yeah, brilliant. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. My last question, because I'm trying to encourage women to be more complimentary about themselves, because I still find that lots of women struggle with that. So if you were to pay yourself a compliment, what would it be?
You're tough.
Brilliant. And that's going to get you, it's got you to where it has now. So thank you so much. It's been a brilliant conversation. Love talking to you, Emma.
It was lovely talking to you too. And it's really great, all the work you're doing to fight ageism in fashion. I think it's such a necessary thing.
Thank you. It's just good to be part of the conversation, isn't it? I think there's lots of us out there that are really pushing for that change. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.